Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Sunday in Freedom Seekers. I've been obsessed with geranium. Maybe obsessed is a very intense word, but I put it on every day. It's supposed to be really good for hormone balancing. And I'm excited to be here today and to breathe with you and to remember with you and to hold each other's hands, to walk back home, which pretty much for me means to go back to love, to remember that we are loved, that all is well, and that we just forgot. And we are just one step away from remembering, just by shifting our perceptions. So today's topic is going to be around triggers. So it's a few topics, just because I've been promising, but then I'm like, I've been promising I'm going to talk about something, and then I'm like, but I also want to talk about something. And what I've seen that without really planning, they all weave together. So I've done a topic about expectations in our relationships. So if you haven't watched that video, go watch it. I've done a video about anger, which a lot of in our situations with people, a lot of anger comes through. I've talked about how's name, healthy boundaries. That was last week. And today we're going to talk a little bit more about triggers. So I've talked about triggers in the ones before, but today I'm going to talk about one perception around the topic of triggers, being triggered, how to communicate nonviolent communication, and how to be in the flow. So I just created a video that talked about it, and I'm going to expand a little bit around that topic. So before I start speaking, I would love to see who's online. I see 3 of you online, and it's exciting to see people connecting, whether it's 2 or 100. I'm excited. I remember when I did, I used to do videos in Spanish right at the beginning of this in 2011, and my mom would be the only one watching it. I'll be like, thank you, Mom. I'll just do it for you. So let's see. I see Justin is there. Hi, Justin. So good to see you. I'm excited to talk to you tomorrow. So who else is online? If you can say hi very quickly, I'll be honored to see your name. Yes, thank you, Daniel. I'm so glad you're here too. We're fortunate to have your energy in this call. So awesome. So I'm going to start with breathing. Like you know, I like to get into our beingness before we go into our doingness. So I encourage you to close your eyes. And I want you to rub your hands against each other. Rub it and have a loving, kind thought in this moment. Rub your hands. And infuse the beautiful, kind thought. It could be a thought about someone or about yourself. Kindness is kindness. And I want you now to put those hands on top of your heart. Put that love, that kindness into your heart. And I want us to take beautiful 3 deep breaths, deep and slow. Inhale through your nose. Exhale out the mouth. Inhale through your nose. Exhale out the mouth. Inhale through your nose. Exhale out the mouth. Beautiful. Stay there with your eyes closed, feeling the beat of your heart. And just notice how there's an intelligence that loves you so much, that is reminding you to breathe all the time. It's so unconscious that you can't relax and let go. It just breathes for you. We're going to call it the intelligence of the universe. It's beautiful energy that heals the wounds when you get cut, that grows your nails, that grows your hair. that allows you to digest some food. All of these beautiful things that happen in your body temple just for you to be alive. Breathe in and out beautiful gratitude for this intelligence that is you, that is the highest version of you, that in your consciousness is sitting in a throne, watching you lovingly. So much compassion, so much love, no judgment whatsoever. Your spirit, your soul loves you unconditionally. Masters of light, spirit guides, angels, if you believe it, then too, they love you unconditionally. So allow yourself to breathe in that love and exhale love. Inhale love. Exhale love. So in this connection to our own heart, to our own spirit, we get ready to do this class. We know whoever gets online live is exactly who needs to get online live. Who watches this video later is exactly who needs to watch this video. So we bless every single individual that is part of this call, of this group, Freedom Seekers. We bless our own hearts and our willingness to grow and expand ourselves. So we're going to breathe the last 3 times. Inhale. Let go. Inhale. Let go. Inhale. And surrender. Beautiful. We are ready to begin. So very slowly and very gracefully, we open our eyes and come back to the room where you're at. Beautiful. Ooh, I see more people online. That's fun. Okay. So let's see. Who else is online? So if you can say hi in the comments, I just want to say your name out loud and acknowledge you for being here, for taking the time to work on your beautiful self. I've mentioned it so many times, but it's worth mentioning one more time. One of my favorite authors and people that have walked through this beautiful world is Joseph Campbell. If you haven't seen his work, I encourage you to do so. He wrote The Hero's Journey. He was a mythologist, and he said, you know, we're all in our own hero's journey. And one of the characteristics of the hero's journey is the hero gets to know himself. Is know thyself. And he said so beautifully, knowing thyself, knowing yourself is one of the biggest privilege of this lifetime. The biggest privilege. So you are privileged. I am privileged to have the awareness and the consciousness to know thyself. Now wisdom, real wisdom, is to follow what you learn about yourself. What you learn is best for you. What you learn is best for your highest good. So I acknowledge you for being here. I acknowledge you for taking the time to know yourself. I acknowledge you for bringing your energy to this group. You know that everything is energy. So whoever gets online, you are giving your energy to this conversation. So thank you for being here. So I see Stephanie. Stephanie was just in the Spanish one. So welcome to this other one. So you'll see how I give it in 2 languages. I never planned it, but maybe it'll come out something different. Okay, so thank you for being here. Ryan Snow, hi Ryan. Merlinda, hi Merlinda. Clem, good morning, Clem. All right, so if you are online, you're getting online, please put your name and I'll take a moment to acknowledge you. So thank you so much for being here. Now, today I'm going to talk about triggers. I'm going to speak about nonviolent communication, and we're going to speak about how to be in the flow. So let me tell you something about triggers, and I've mentioned this before, and as I said before, you know, I've done a series of videos and now I can see how they all weave together. So if you haven't seen the videos before, I encourage you to go see it. I've talked about expectations in relationships. I've talked about what to do when everything gets out of control and you're in uncertainty. I've talked about anger, what to do with anger. I've talked about boundaries. That was last week. So this week we're going to talk about specifically triggers, and I'm going to bring a different perception to you. So when we get triggered, as you know, it's pretty much there's a part of your brain that gets that we call the amygdala that fires up and says, oop, there's danger here. Fear triggers in our brain, and then the natural response is to try to control it. As you know, I work in a place, and probably you went to arrhythmia, and a lot of fears trigger arrhythmia because people engage in plant medicine, and plant medicine is a way of you telling your brain, it's okay if we lose control, and your brain fires back and says, oh no, honey, it's not okay. It's not okay I lose control. I'm going to fight. So we don't want to lose control. And when we get triggered, it's like our brain is receiving that message that, oh, I'm losing control. So therefore, I need to cope with this. And we cope by fighting back. We cope by defending ourselves. We cope by freezing and staying in situations because we don't know how to speak our mind or speak our word. We go for drugs, or we go for substances, or we go shopping, or we engage in drama, we engage in the story, we repeat the story over and over again. We all have our coping mechanisms, all of us. And because we get triggered. Another way of coping is manipulating and controlling. And so today I'm going to, after I talk about triggers, I'm going to talk about nonviolent communication. I'm going to show you a very specific tool that comes from the organization Nonviolent Communication. Now, it's very important that we do this, that we utilize this technique from a pure space, from a loving, kind space towards ourselves and towards the other, because it's very easy to take any material of personal and spiritual development and use it to manipulate and control the other or the situation. Sometimes in the name of I'm enlightened and I'm spiritual, I see people manipulating situations. So I'm going to trust that all of us, we're going to be very discerning and very true and honest to ourselves. And we're going to do this from a space that feels authentic and clean and pure. Okay? So let's go back to the word trigger. So when we get triggered, we feel that we have fear. And when we have fear, we feel like we're losing control. So therefore, we do what we know what to do in order to get back in control. We get in that doing consciousness. I do, so that I can have that false sense of power. Now, there is a higher space of consciousness that is not only doing. There is a new emerging of the feminine. Now, feminine doesn't mean only gender, women. Feminine means a state of consciousness that invites us to surrender, that invites us to trust. Now, when there are wounds, when there are aspects of ourselves that haven't been recognized and integrated, and we tell our brain, you got to trust and surrender, the brain goes, oh, hell no, I'm not going to do that. I don't know how to trust. Trust what? What are you talking about? When this happened, last thing I need to do is trust. The first thing I need to do is make sure that I'm in control. So now that is the mojo of your brain. That's a mojo of everyone's brain. First, I need to make sure I stay alive, and then I can do those wisdom stuff, the spiritual stuff. But first, when I'm triggered, I need to survive, Paola. Now, I know that you, because you've decided to take your time to do this phone call or to do this Facebook Live, you're someone that wants to transcend this third dimension. And what do I mean by third dimension? In case you don't know, third dimension is everything that has to do with our five senses. The sense of smell, the sense of touch, the sense of sight, hearing, and what was the other one? Did I say taste already? Well, you know the five senses. But we know that we are multidimensional. We're not only this third dimension. In fact, Albert Einstein referred to energy as being 99 0.99999% of reality. Matter, this couch, this body, this is only 0.00001% of reality. So now as we incarnate in this third dimension, we fully engage in our five senses. That is why when we get triggered, it's so easy to be caught up in the tip of the iceberg. What does that mean? Well, I get caught up in, this is what happened, Paola. This is what she said. It was unfair. And it happened on Tuesday. And I was wearing this kind of clothes because I was going to the gym, which it's ridiculous how we remember little, not ridiculous, let me just rephrase that. It's very human that we do that. I do that all the time, where I just remember the most details that is a way of my brain saying, Paola, if we just make sure that we are aware of every negative detail, you are more prone to survive. If you don't catch everything that is negative, there's a big chance that you will die or you will get hurt. That's why it's easier for our brain to be picking up what's negative before what's positive. You've heard me about talking about negativity bias. And especially if you have trauma in your life, if there's wounds, your negativity bias, the filter in your brain that is the negativity bias, sometimes it's a little bit more stimulated than normal. So you tend to always be hyper vigilant. You tend to be always trying to manipulate situations, trying to control everything, being the giver, because if I give, I'm more in control. Let me tell you something about givers. When you're a giver and you don't know how to receive, that's control in the form of giving. Now, I'm not saying, as I've said before, giving is not a bad thing. It's a beautiful thing. But just be aware from what space you're giving. Be aware from what space you're giving your love. Are you giving because you're controlling, or are you giving because you're in a space of overflow and you're trusting and just the natural thing is to give? Most of us sometimes will be the givers because it's a form of control. It's a lot more vulnerable to be receiver. In fact, it's a lot easier to love than to be loved in many cases. Because when I'm loved, I can control that. I can control how much that person adores me or loves me, so I better do something about it or reject it or rather be the giver. But I don't want to segue into that. That might be another day, another conversation. Let's take a deep breath in. Let go. So triggers. Triggers are an invitation for healing. Triggers are an invitation for healing. If you get triggered, that means that there's something waiting to be healed, or there's something waiting to be included in, recognized and integrated in you. Next week, I already announced it in the Spanish group, I'm going to talk about shadows, the shadow aspects. So those are aspects of ourselves that we have no clue. They're in the shadow, and we just need to come and shine some light. So that's going to be next week, which seems like a continuation of this conversation. So every time you get triggered, you're getting an invitation to heal or to integrate something. But here's the problem. When we get triggered, we go into control. Now, it's different for everyone. I already said it. I'm not going to repeat myself. We all have different coping mechanisms that makes us feel in control, that false sense of control. That is why in my video that I did the other day, it was Friday, it was Friday, so today's Sunday. 2 days ago, if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend you watch it, where I was thinking about that middle point between doing and trusting. And right in the middle is flow, is the flow state, is when you are co-creating with the universe. Now, sometimes we're in that space of doing, because we're controlling. And thinking about surrendering sounds like a crazy idea for your brain. So that is why we're going to first step one in this phone call, in this Facebook Live, we're going to get in tune with your trigger. So in this moment, I don't know if you recently have been triggered. Perhaps it was today, perhaps it was this morning. So recently you got triggered, we have good material to work on today. In case that you haven't been triggered in a while, I want you to think about what is that normal thing that when it happens, or what is that thing that when it happens, normally you get very triggered. And how do you know if you're getting triggered? You get very anxious, you feel a knot in your stomach, you feel like your face is flushing with redness, you feel like you want to eat a lot. As I've mentioned, when I would get triggered in the past, I'll just eat to soothe myself. When we're getting triggers, when we see that wave that takes over, and all of a sudden you are behaving like a 2-year-old. And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that after all the work I've done. How come I did that? As I said last week, you're just a human being and it's okay to forget. It's not about forgetting. It's about how quickly you teach yourself, you train yourself to remember that you don't have to be at the mercy of any triggers. So triggers happen because people will say a nasty thing, because circumstances won't go the way you planned it. We get triggered because our bodies, sometimes they have bad news through that test and the doctor is like, well, now it's time to start taking care of you because your body is not going to be as resilient anymore. We get triggered to different situations of people, divorces, breakups, jealousy, anger, all of that. You get me. So today I want to give you a beautiful tool. I'm going to give you 2 beautiful tools. And this first one, it's called following the trigger. Instead of you running away from your fear, you're going to be with your fear. I know it's uncomfortable. I know you don't want it. But let me tell you something. Your fear is like, the other day someone said this. His name is Merrill, and he comes to Eurythmia sometimes to help. I don't know if you know Merrill, but he's amazing. And he was saying that fear, let me rephrase it. Love is like gravity. So imagine love being like the law of gravity. If I put this up, then this will, if I throw this, I know it will fall. The law of gravity. We don't have to convince ourselves of that. We know gravity is what we have in this world. Now, fear is like a rocket. You know how much energy needs for a rocket to shoot out of this space and get out of space. It takes a lot of energy for a rocket to do that, and that's how fear is. Fear is this little thing that when you're feeling it, it feels that is so strong and it can more than you. But here's the thing about fear. When you compare it to the law of gravity, when you compare fear to love, is nothing. Love is the strongest energy in the universe. It's the strongest, highest energy in the universe. You are made of love. You and I were breathing and living in the substance of love. But we've come to believe that the rockets of fear are more powerful than love. Now, when you're in fear, and especially if you have trauma in your life, you don't want to sit with your fear. That's the last thing you want to do. Because it feels uncomfortable. Because it feels like, yesterday I was doing breath work, which I love doing breath work. And there was this moment where I felt a pit in my stomach. I felt afraid. And I was breathing through the fear. And I was like getting very familiar on how fear feels in my body, which I'm going to ask you in a moment to do the same. And I was just there breathing, and breath work, if you know what that is, it's just a breathing technique that you alter your state of consciousness. And I'm just observing fear, and I'm just going in the direction of my fear. And I feel the fear, and all of a sudden I feel nauseated. I'm like, ugh, feeling the fear makes me feel a little sick. And then I was telling myself, it's okay, just go with it. So I was feeling the panic, and maybe I'm gonna puke. Maybe this is too much. And I'll just be like, fear, just come on, just show me how you are. And so fear was here, and I told fear, I love you so much. I love you. I love you so much. Thank you. Thank you for being so strong and trying to protect me. I'm going to put you at the edge of my life. I don't need you to be so close to me. But let me tell you, I love you. Your work in my existence is beautiful. I am so grateful for you. So when you get triggered, it's almost as the same thing. You're going to sit with your fear even though you don't feel like doing it. And you're going to ask a couple of questions with your fears. So in this moment, we're going to do this together, all right? So if you are in a space where you can sit and close your eyes, perfect. If not, come back to this part of the video and do it when you can. Now, if you are in your car, I mean, don't close your eyes, of course, but you can try to do it. Especially when you have your eyes closed, you can be more in tune. When you get triggered, when you and I get triggered, the last part, or the least part you are, or the least moment that you are is in the present moment. When we're in fear, we're either in the past, trying to see what happened, telling the story and replaying everything, or trying to predict the future. So we're either right there or right there, and we're not here. And being right here, right now, also means being in your body. Did you hear that? Being right here, right now, also means that you are in your body. So when you get triggered, a good technique is to get in your body by breathing, and you can also wiggle your feet, or you can feel the sole of your feet, ground yourself in the ground, and feel your feet, and then start feeling your entire body. So right now, I'm going to close my eyes, and I want you to do the same if you can. And I want you to feel your body. We're going to breathe 5 times. So let's pretend in this moment you've been deeply triggered by a situation, and this is what you do. You're going to take 5 deep breaths. So take a deep breath in. Let go. Inhale. Let go. Inhale. Let go. 2 more times. Inhale. Let go. Inhale. Let go. And I want you to feel whatever it is that you feel when you're triggered. So bring it to your mind's eye in this moment. Maybe it happened recently. Maybe it happened yesterday or this week. Think about that trigger. And as you think about that trigger, I want you to scan your body in this moment. And I want you to notice where in your body you have the most sensation. Where in your body you have the most sensation. And I want you to go in the direction of that part of your body. Some people feel it in their heads, the back of their necks. Some people feel it in their solar plexus or in their heart, in your stomach, in your hips, in your legs, in your feet. Where do you feel the anger? Where do you feel the emotion without labeling it yet? We're not going to label it yet. Scan your body and keep breathing in and out. Don't stop breathing. Your breath is your soother. It soothes you. It allows you to be in your body right here, right now. Now, I just want to say, this is not for you to bypass your emotions. This is not for you to stay in situations that are abusive. If you haven't seen the boundary video, I encourage you to watch it. It was a week before this one. But we're present to our body in the trigger. And as you're right there with your emotion, with the part of your body, I want you to ask that area of your body, what is the emotion that I feel right here in that part of my body? What is the emotion? What is it? And I want you to ask it. Very curious, no judgment. Dear emotion, who are you? What's your name? And your emotion may say, you know what? I'm frustration. Or I am fear. I am sadness. I am hurt. I am panic. I am boredom. I am laziness. And as you have detected which is the emotion, I want you to tell that emotion in that part of your body, dear emotion, I'm fully present here with you. I want you to say that in your mind's eye, in your mind. I'm fully present here with your emotion. I want you to breathe in the direction of your emotions. Almost as if you're chasing your emotion. You're breathing through that area. If it's your heart, breathe through your heart. And that phrase is so powerful. I'm fully present here with you. I'm not going to change you. I'm not going to fix you. I'm fully present here with you, emotion. Breathe in and out. Fully present here with you. And as you're breathing in and out, I want you to ask that emotion in that part of your body, when was the first time I felt this way when I was a kid? When was the first time I felt this way as when I was a kid, between the ages of 2 to 10 years old? Or maybe even before in your mom's womb, but some people just don't remember that. So first thing that comes to mind when you get triggered and then you feel it in that part of your body and you feel that particular emotion, ask that emotion, when was the first time I felt this way? When was the first time? What happened? And I want you to go find that boy, that girl. Where are you there? If there's anybody around you, freeze those people around you. You can even take that little boy, that little girl somewhere else, fly away somewhere else with that little boy, that little girl, if the space where you were living is not safe or was not safe at the time. And the adult you, I want you to give a big hug to this little boy, this little girl, and I want you to look at that little boy, that little girl in the eye and say, what do you need in this moment? What did you need the most when this was occurring? And I want you to listen to that little boy, that little girl, saying what he or she needed the most in the moment. Listen, breathe in and out. Don't forget to breathe. What did I need the most in that moment? Oh, I need to be seen. I needed someone to hug me and to give me a kiss. Tell me everything was going to be all right. So whatever it is that that little boy, that little girl says to you, I want you to, again, look at that little boy, that little girl in the eye and say, I'm going to give it to you. From now on, whenever I get triggered again, I'm going to give that to you, that need. I'm going to do my best to fulfill that need that wasn't fulfilled at the time. Hug that little boy, that little girl, and put it in your heart. Make that image to the size of your heart and put it right there in your heart with that promise that you will learn how to meet your needs. Beautiful. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. So we say thank you to that memory for bringing us back. We breathe in love. We exhale love. We breathe in love. We exhale love. We breathe in love. We exhale love. Beautiful. Very slowly and very gracefully, open your eyes. And so, whoever is online, I would love for you to share with us. This is a safe space to share with us where in your body you feel the trigger. What is the emotion that gets triggered? When you remember, how old were you when that happened for the first time? And what did you need? What is your need when that happens? Or what was your need at the time? So 4 things I would love for you to write in the comments. Where in your body? What's the emotion? What did you, how old were you? And what did you need? Every time you share out loud, it's very powerful for the group because we remember we're all in this together. We are all in this together. All right. I see Linda is online. Hi, Linda. Debbie Rogers, good morning. I'm so glad you're here. Edgar French, yes, I'm so glad you're here. Bella, triggers are an invitation to healing. So beautiful and calming and comforting. Oh, I'm so glad that that's how you're perceiving it. I'm so happy that you're here, Belle. Cindy, hello. Hello, Cindy. Yes, I'm so glad you're here. So, Nicole, I'm late to the party. The live came in late. Oh, I wonder why that happened. Okay, Cindy. Cindy's the first person that tells us. So if you are, if you did the exercise, please share with us where in your body, what's the emotion, how old were you, and what was that you needed. So Cindy said that when she gets triggered, she feels it in the back of her neck, and what she feels is a sensation of frustration. And she felt it when she was a little girl, and what she needed the most was safety. So Cindy, when you get triggered, you don't feel safe. You go back. So here's what Belle referred to in her comment. Triggers are inviting you to heal. So there's a little girl inside of you that when something is similar to what happened when you were a little girl, you go back in time, it triggers that part of you that says, I am not safe. And so frustration, which if you were doing a session with me, I would go a little deeper in everyone's emotions, because sometimes it just all boils down to fear or sadness. But it's okay if it was frustration. Frustration is that cover emotion that says, I'm going to get frustrated, and this is the way that I'm going to control it. Even if it sounds weird, how am I going to control things with frustration? Well, that's our coping mechanisms. That's why we feel how we feel. And also feelings are an indication that there's a need that is not being met, Cindy. So safety. Question to you, how can you make sure that you make yourself feel safe? And there are many ways. I posted, I'm about to do that in English, but I posted in Spanish the other day that self-esteem, it's the fruit of a lot of esteemable acts that you do towards yourself or for yourself. So when we're talking about safety, we're also talking about trusting you, trusting life. And when you trust yourself and you trust life, you feel safe. You feel like it's okay. It's okay to be in your body. It's okay to be in your relationships. It's okay to be alive. So we can do things to meet the need of safety. Surround yourself with people that are loving and kind. Make sure that you have loving, kind thoughts. That's going to make you feel safer in your own body. Make sure that you have habits that are an indication that it is safe to be in your body, to be in your life. A lot of habits are a signal that we send to ourselves. A lot of detrimental habits, a signal that is not safe to be you, that is not safe to even trusting you. So we can meet the need of safety. And if there's someone in your life that you want to communicate this need, I'm about to teach you the nonviolent communication technique, where you can tell someone, look, when I see this, I feel frustrated. And one of my biggest needs is to feel safe. Can we make sure next time we address it differently? Do you suggest something so that next time we do it better? This is a way of communicating, but I'm going to show you the technique in a second. I just told you basically, but I want to write it in a little board I have here. So thank you so much, Cindy, for saying it in the chat. Justin says, the emotion was in my heart. So Justin says that when he gets triggered, he feels hurt, sad, and pain. Feelings of being unloved, unwanted, unaccepted. And that was going back to the mother's womb. So what would you say that little boy in the womb needed, Justin? Do you need to be accepted and loved? I'm just, putting it, seeing the contrast of unloved. So you needed to be loved, you need to be accepted, you need to be wanted. So question to you, how can you make sure you create an environment around you or in you, because sometimes we have the acceptance of people, we have the love of people, but because we don't feel safe in our own bodies, we don't know how to receive the love and the acceptance of others. So it all starts with self. So again, like I just told Cindy, are your inner dialogue a dialogue of self-acceptance and self-love? Or in the case that is someone triggering this and you want to communicate this, I'm about to teach you the way of doing it. So, and I think you already know Justin, because Justin and I worked together for a while, and that was super fun. But I'll remind all of us, it's a good technique. Nicole says that she felt chest pain, stomach pain, panic since she was, okay, so she was 7 or 8 years old. I need to feel safe. That thing of safety is huge. It's huge, safety. So when we are looking at the triggers, and we, instead of going to coping mechanisms and try to control the situation in the way that we're used to, getting frustrated, getting mad, struggling, all of those ways that we're used to doing. And instead of that, we do this kind of exercises and understand ourselves so deeply. First, taking 100% responsibility of your reality. Second of all, understanding how you feel. What do you need? How you can meet your own needs. So taking charge of what you can control, which is your own behavior, your own mental thinking. So when you do this and you bring compassion, this is a way of being self-compassionate. So when you do all this work with yourself, your self-love increases. When your self-love increases, trust increases. And when trust increases, you're not only trusting yourself, but you're trusting the universe. You're trusting what Albert Einstein referred as the 99.999% of reality. You're trusting energy. You're trusting life itself. You're trusting your breath. You're trusting that you're safe and protected. And when that happens, panic, anxiety, depression, it will disappear. Now, easier said than done, you may say, Paola. I know that it's not easy for an ego that is attached to different stories, but it's very simple, especially when you take it down to your heart. All of this is simple. Meeting your needs, making sure that you're in an environment that you create as an adult. Here's the thing, when we were children, we didn't have much control of our environment. But now as an adult, you can do a lot more. That is why a moment ago, I invited you to go visit that little boy, that little girl. So you can do this every time you are triggered. Go visit that little girl, go back to the original wound, take him out of that situation, and promise her, next time you feel panic, baby, or little girl, little Nicole, I'm going to make sure I'm going to make you feel safe. We're going to take deep breaths, and I'm going to make you feel safe. I'm going to ask my husband to give me a hug in that moment. I'm going to call my girlfriend, and I'm just going to talk about it to gain different perception. You do what you know that you can do. And that not all the time you do it on your own. We are beings of connection. So it's beautiful to surround yourself with people that can be that for you, and you can be that for them when they need it. That's the power of community. And the power. So thank you so much again for doing this on a Sunday. We're creating community here. Jill, I felt in my neck and back. I felt fear and unworthiness. 4 or 5 years old. I need safety and love. Safety and love. Beautiful. Okay. Constant state of panic as a child. So that little girl, Nicole, again, I already said it, but needs a lot of your own protection. Make sure you don't expose yourself to moments where you think it's going to trigger that. That's why it's so important that, I don't know if you watched, I think you did watch the video of the last week where you know your boundaries. I know my friend who had a lot of panic attacks, she said that when she was 20, she wouldn't leave her house for like 2 years. And when she was recovering from the panic attacks, she would make sure that she wouldn't expose herself. So she wouldn't go to concerts, she wouldn't go to, at first, it was gradual. And she said that her sisters said to her, and her best friends at the time said to her, look, you just do a little movement, maybe you just do this, and we will know that we need to leave the room. We need to leave the party. We're going to do that for you. We love you so much that we don't want to expose you. We're going to honor your healing process. So if panic takes over you and there's situations in your life that are triggering Nicole or anybody in the call that you don't feel safe, what are the things that you need to stop doing? What is the things that you need to let go of that you can? Are there friendships relationships, situations at work. Now, I know, and I don't want to sound like, oh, Paola, it's easier for you to say, but this is my job, but this is what pays the bill. So I know that if you can't live that situation just yet, it's because there's a lot of healing that needs to happen before the doors open somewhere else. So know that life is never happening by mistake. It's all happening for you. But there are many things that we can let go of. I guarantee you. Sometimes it could be as easy as letting go of the clutter in your life, in your house, that unconsciously is creating unnecessary anxiety because you see so much clutter that you get nervous. Sometimes it's saying no more to cigarettes. I told you a while ago. I would say, can't remember how long ago. I was never a true smoker, but I would smoke cigarettes whenever I feel anxious. But then I discovered that by the end of my cycle of smoking cigarettes, I would feel more anxious when I would smoke than when I just dealt with my emotions. And I would just sit with it and be like, Paola, just pay attention. You just had a cigarette. Now anxiety has escalated even more than what before you had this. Can you just pay attention to that? And so the moment I let go of the cigarette, the anxiety reduced. So I was in control of letting that go. Now I know when someone is deeply addicted to cigarette, you might need extra help. That be with the hypnosis, that could be through plant medicine, that could be that you at first use the patches, or I don't know. There's a lot of debate if some of these things are helpful or not, but use your discernment. You know what you could do to help yourself to let go of that habit. Alcohol, it's another one. It changes your hormones. It's poison to your body. Now I'm not demonizing alcohol. Once in a while I do have a glass of wine, but I know that I'm triggered, or if I'm drinking because I just need to feel better, that's going to create a cascade of hormonal imbalance in my body, and I'm going to feel worse. So it could be alcohol. It could be that you're addicted to sugar and you're doing the thing. So I'm talking about little habits that sometimes you're like, what has that to do with that? It has everything to do because you're whole, you're a whole thing. That's when we're speaking about our wholeness, holistic approach. What are the things that you can let go that are a way of you saying to your body, it is safe to be me, it is safe to be alive. I love you so much that I'm going to create an environment of safety for you because I love you. And if you don't know how to say I love you yet to yourself, you're going to say to yourself, I'm going to learn how to love you. All right? Beautiful. So Linda says anger due to impotence in my stomach need to be heard. Very important, Linda, for you to speak up. And Linda, you're a woman. For us women to speak up is so important. Now, I'm not saying for men is not, but especially for us women, to have a girlfriend, to have a therapist where we can let it out is very therapeutic. In the findings of John Gray, he said when men are constantly speaking about their minor problems, that could create more stress. So for men, feeling better could be like they go and build something, or they go and be alone for a little bit. And now I'm not saying men don't speak. If you have something major happening, please speak up. But for women, it's the opposite. When we are dealing with our emotions, speaking about it is very healthy for our hormones, especially. So Linda, how can you create that space for yourself to when you can speak and practice allowing your voice to be heard? Some people that talk about opening different chakras, they say sometimes singing is important. It's beneficial if you have this area of you closed. All right, Teddy. Teddy said that he was late. All right. So Justin clarified, said to be wanted. Okay. So question to you, do you want to be in you? Do you want, that sounds a little weird, but how can you bring it to self? Do you like to be with yourself? Do you like how it feels to be you? Do you love to be alive? So that's that feeling of wanting, of desire, of that drive, like, oh, it's good to be me. How do you fulfill that need? And also you can communicate this with others. So I know I'm running out of time and I still want to talk about the nonviolent communication. So I'm going to read one more. Belle says, stomach, gut, fear, 12 years old, safety. I've used my weight to keep me safe, ready to release that need now. Beautiful, beautiful. I strongly recommend, Belle, to check out if it resonates. Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Body. Because we already know how to lose weight. You know, you eat clean and you exercise and you sleep well and you hydrate yourself, right? That's common sense. We all know it. But if emotionally it's not safe to be slim, because I used to put weight because I need to protect myself from the world, using affirmations to yourself. It is safe for me to be in my body. It is safe for me to let go of the extra energy. And weight is just extra energy. That's how I view it. No need to put more drama on top of weight. Weight is just energy waiting to be used. It's safe for me to use this extra energy. Utilize it for creation. So I recommend affirmations if it resonates. Some people say, well, it's not really resonating with me, but it resonates with me. Okay, Robert, trust the energy. Yes, Nicole, makes sense. Okay. Sasha told me to scream underwater to release triggers. Okay, never heard of that, but okay. So just make sure that you're dealing with the trigger before you release it, okay? Because sometimes we could bypass it. But yes, if that helps you and you feel like it's good for you, great. So now I want to show you nonviolent communication technique. Is super easy. So let's say that this is your husband, this is your wife, this is a friend, this is someone that your discernment say, you know what, I want to communicate. Like Lisa say, you know, I want to speak. Linda, not Lisa, Linda, Shelley said, I need to be heard. So I want to, it's a form of self-love right now to communicate what's going on with me. So now, a little thing I want to tell you, do not use this to manipulate. Sometimes in the name of psychology, it's so funny. I just watched this Netflix series called Sex Education, and it's funny if you want to watch something silly, but it's not that silly because there's a lot of psychology in it. There is a mom that is a sex therapist that has a teenager, and because she knew so much intellectually, she completely ruined his sons. I mean, she didn't do anything, but in the movie or in the series, they make it seem like she was always analyzing and being, using her psychology to deal with her son, and she was purely manipulating all the time, and so her son got tired of it and blah blah blah. So she's just a perfect evidence of how you can use any of these techniques to manipulate, to control. And we don't want that. We want to do it from a space of love, from a space of authenticity, and from a space of like, I want to create unity. I want to create more wholeness. I want to heal. I want to heal my relationship. So now another thing I want to tell you about this technique that I'm about to show you, you need to be okay with the other person not accepting your request, your ask. So that's a very important thing. I'm about to tell you how to ask, how to show your emotions, how to tell what your needs are, and how to ask for help or for support. But the other person can say, no, I don't believe that, or I don't hear that, or, we can control the other. But in the case that you're like, I'm ready to do that, for me, it always works for the people that I feel safer with to communicate this kind of way. So, if you want to learn more about this, it's Nonviolent Communication. It's an organization that teaches about that. So I'm just going to do it very, very briefly. So the way that you start, different steps. Is this not working? Woo. Let's see if this works. Step number 1. Doesn't look very well, but step number 1. you are going to start your sentence when I see, when I hear. I'm so sorry, this is not really working. When I see or when I hear. I don't know if you can see it. So I just wrote when I see or when I hear. That's step number one. When I see or when I hear. You're not going to say, you did that to me, you said that to me, or because of you, I failed to do this, or because of you, I felt this way. That is violent communication. That's putting the finger, and what's going to happen is that the other person is going to say, F you, I'm going to defend back because you're judging me. So in nonviolent communication, the first step is when you declare what you've seen or what you have heard. So let's say I'm going to use Linda's emotions or trigger, and I'm just going to make it up, whatever the situation was. So Linda says, when I see that our meeting or our appointment gets canceled, when I see that our appointments, or when I hear that you called to cancel our appointment, I feel anger. I feel angry and impotent. And, you know, in this time in my life, for me, I've discovered that I need respect. And I've been wanting to meet with you because I want to be heard. I want to be heard, and I want respect. I'm adding needs. You can only say one. And do you think we can work in this together? You think we can work? I'm not going to do it here because obviously it's not working. Can we work on this together next time? Can you next time tell me ahead of time that perhaps you won't be able to make it? I'm just bringing an example of many. So you come to this person knowing how you feel and knowing what you need. First step is you say, when I see or when I hear. When I see that you don't want to talk to me, I feel hurt because I need to be heard, and I want to, I want safety in my life. Is it possible that next time we agree on a time to talk about this? Or what do you suggest? You can invite the person to participate in the solution. But here, the nonviolent communication doesn't judge, doesn't say you are the cause of my pain. You're saying, when I hear this or when I see this behavior or this situation, I feel this way, or I felt that way, and I need this. Can we work on it? And then you can suggest, or you can invite the person to participate in the solution with you. Now, I said not everyone is going to say, oh, okay, let's talk about it. But when you talk in this way, first, you're not judging right out the bat. You're taking ownership of how you feel. And when people hear how you feel, you're not putting it on them. Empathy opens up. Compassion opens up. I know that, again, I'm going to refer to women, but I don't want to make this about gender. But for me, it's very important to feel heard, just like Linda, to feel heard and safe. And so many times I've come to my fiancé, my boyfriend, and I say, okay, this is what I saw, and this is what I heard, or this is what I heard, and I felt this way, and right now I just need to be heard. So he already knows he doesn't have to fix anything. I'm completely taking ownership of my part. And I just want to be heard. And the moment that I got heard, I feel a release. Now, I've done this with him, and it's worked so beautifully. So you know in your discernment who you can communicate this with. You might say, well, this person's not going to understand. But if you have a need to communicate, do it anyway and be okay with the person rejecting your request. I would say 8 out of 10 times people will be open for conversation after you start this way. But only start this way when you have done your inner work. Because if you don't do your work, you're going to be saying that you feel ways and that you don't really feel. Or maybe you exaggerate it because you want to guilt or shame. In nonviolent communication, there's no shaming and there's no guilting, because that destroys the communication. Communication is a powerful tool that human beings we have, but it is dangerous if we don't know how to use it. Because again, a lot of manipulation can come from it. So here's the thing, I'm going to go back to the beginning. Triggers are a great invitation for healing or integration. Next week, I'm going to talk about more about integration, that part, which is our shadow sides. So next week, I'm going to bring a really cool example of it, a cool exercise about it. When we get triggered, we feel out of control, and we do anything in our power to control. That's where we go into our coping mechanisms. Whether that be our own drama, negative self-talk, substances, etc., etc., etc. And we get into that doing and that pushing. And when we do the work and we say, okay, I'm going to sit with myself. I don't feel like it, but, just remember my voice when you're having negative self-talk, when you're being triggered. What does Paola say? Oh, I need to sit down, take 5 deep breaths. Even if that's the only thing you do this week is enough. But if you want to go a little farther, take the 5 deep breaths and be with your fear. Even if you feel like you're about to explode, you won't explode, I promise you. You're just in fear. And just remember that fear is like a rocket, and you are breathing and living in the substance of love, which is gravity. It's a lot more powerful gravity than that little energy that is sending a rocket of fear, that is making you believe that that's more powerful than you. Fear is not more powerful than you. Fear becomes more powerful than you when you believe that that's so. But it is not. You are more powerful than the fear. So fear can sit with you and you can feel it. You can sit in the eye. You can ask that emotion, when was the first time I felt you? You go back to the wound. You go back to that little girl, that little boy. You promise to give that little boy, that little girl what you need, which most of the time is self-love, safe environment for yourself, letting go of things that are no longer serving you. And then once you have that, let me tell you something, the more you repeat, and I tell you from my own experience, and I'm not coming here to say I'm perfect, I know, no, there's so much life ahead of all of us. This kind of work is going to continue until the day that we die. But what I've seen for me, and I've seen it a lot when I've done medicine, because it's always triggers so much fear. The more I do self-love and self-compassion, the more I trust. The more I trust me, simultaneously I'm trusting that there's a force, invisible, that goes beyond my 5 senses, that it goes beyond this dimension, that somehow, some way is keeping the oceans in place, that is keeping my heart beating, that is allowing my digestion to go. There's an intelligence that I don't even know how to explain. It's so powerful that it is protecting me. But that only comes when you trust and love yourself first. And once you start having that kind of trust, hope comes and visits too. Trust and hope. And then you surrender. And then anxiety and the stories of pain and hurt, they start little by little disintegrating. And then you remember your power. You are a powerful being. I don't know if my voice and my words are making justice to how I feel in this moment. We are powerful beings. We're luminous beings. It's just that we forgot. Your traumas, your childhood, are not as powerful as you really, really are. But that's why today I took you step by step, because we cannot bypass our process. And because you remember that you're powerful, that doesn't mean that we have to visit step 1, step 2 when we get triggered. It's a constant state of forgetting and remembering. But here's the thing, it's not about forgetting, it's about how strong is your skill of remembering. How strong is your your spiritual and emotional musculature so that you can remember again. Let's take a deep breath. Let go. One more time, inhale. Let go. Beautiful. Let's see. Okay. Justice of self-love. Yes. Nicole. Yes. I already read that. Jay says, perfect lesson and very timely. Feeling of shame, guilt, and unworthiness as a child due to trauma. Okay. So Jill, Jay, what did you need? That's a question. So what did you need when you felt unworthy and shamed and guilt when you were a child? Jill is sending love to Jay. That's so nice. Jill's read a book, Crucial Conversation. Lots of very helpful tools to communicate there. Thank you, Jill, for recommending that book. Ryan says, thank you. Teddy says, thank you. All right, guys, let's take the last deep breath. As I know we are complete in this moment. Let go. Beautiful. Couple of announcements. I have uploaded many of these videos on my YouTube channel. I have a new YouTube channel in English. It's brand new. I would love for you to subscribe and invite your friends there. I'm gonna see if I can send you the link right here. It's called Coach Paola Castro. A few of these videos are there, so if you want to share with your friends, just a moment. It's right here. Let's see. That's the link for my YouTube. If you have a friend that you want to invite here in this Freedom Seekers group, please invite them. Just tell them that they have to fill out the questions. Otherwise, I just want to filter a little bit more whoever gets in this phone call. So, in the sense that I just want people that are 100% committed to this kind of work. So, I love you. Please like this video if you haven't liked it. It helps the video to be seen by other members. And if you watch this video later, put your comments below. I always love to read your comments. And yes, all right. I love you. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful Sunday. Have a beautiful week. And I'll see you next week. We're going to talk about shadow, our shadow. Bye.